divided into 4 shares for your 4 children, and they get it. Once you pass away and they got it, if they then pass away, it goes by what their will says. So you can't keep it tied up for too long outside of a trust. You got a trust, and you can keep it tied up that way. But otherwise, it'll go to your wife, and then your wife can give it to her husband, or however that works. So you can't keep it tied up for too long. And certainly not outside of the trust. Yes?
I think what my father is kind of saying, I mean, we'll move on.
Okay.
The way my great-grandfather had written it, my mother if something were to happen to my father, it can't go to my mom. It would have to go to me. And that's why he would make me as the executive, because the way it was written, it couldn't be passed on to a spouse. It had to be going to one of his children.
And so you have to have some element of the trust going on there for that to follow, because otherwise, if you just get the property outright, those kind of restrictions don't follow. So it has to stay. There must be some sort of a trust that just kept going, so that it stays that way. Because otherwise, you would lose that. So that's something. Is this in California?
No, it's in Louisiana.
Okay.
Okay. If I wanted to sell it, I could sell it.
All right.
You know, and be through with it.
Right.
But as long as I'm living, I never sell it. It goes to the next generation. She's my next generation.
So
she has 2 sisters and another brother. And when it leaves me and goes to them, those 4, it's going to come in one lump sum.
Right. Okay.
You know, it's not going to be separate like mine and my sisters and my brothers now. It's not going to be separate. It'll be one lump sum. Instead of them fighting over saying, this part is mine, this part is mine, I need to leave an executive to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's in the will. It's passed down to us. It's going to stay with us. But I'm calling the shots until you get a succession.
Yeah, I think what you got something, and that must be because it's from Louisiana. So now you're pulling from the French law, which is a little bit different than what you've got in most of the rest of the United States. You couldn't do that in California without having a trust. But it's a good idea. I mean, that's really what most of us want, isn't it? We want it to be able to stay in the family. If it's your grandfather's, you want it to fall on down for your kids and not go out to some collateral people. So that's a good thing to be able to do. And you could do that here modernly with having a trust in California at least, but otherwise it would be hard to do that. We have other questions out. Oh, yes, ma'am.
You're talking about the trust, the living trust, and you said when one of the spouses died, turns to irrevocable trust?
That's correct. And part of the trust. Part of this, because usually what happens, it doesn't always happen that way, but most of the time we want that protection. If I pass away, I want my share, at least my half, to be. I know it's going to go to my daughter and not to my wife's new husband. So I can put that on my share, right? And so, well, people are living longer, you keep going. So you can do that. You can split it in half and make sure your share becomes irrevocable. And then the wife, she's outlived me. She can change her share to do it what she wants.
So the recommend that we get for our properties is a living trust?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you want a living trust or a revocable trust. Some are what they call irrevocable trust, but that would not be appropriate for most people because then you lose control over it. Yeah, irrevocable means you can't change it, so you lose control. The thing about the living trust is you continue to have control over it all the time. You can sell a house, you can spend that money, spending our kids' inheritance, that's what we want to do. Right? And if you gave it away in an irrevocable trust, you'd lose that control, so that wouldn't be appropriate. Yeah. But if you went to a lawyer, most times they're going to say, oh yeah, you want a living trust. Yeah.
Now my next question is, how do you pick a reputable trust lawyer? Because my family got hooked up with a lawyer that he was supposed to be a reputable lawyer, but turned out not to be a reputable lawyer. He wrote up the trust, and the judge in one state said the trust was not good because he was
that here in California, or is that?
Right here in South.
Oh, okay, all right. How do you find a good lawyer? It's difficult
You
to,
know, because we thought he was reputable.
Yeah.
Turned out he was not so.
Right.
With all the problems.
yeah. You want to invest into, I think, is just get from from those people you know recommendations that they've had good experience. Don't trust advertising. I mean, you just look in the ads and you see people advertise, and one year they're advertising being an expert in criminal law, and then the economy slows, and so they're experts in bankruptcy. You know, it changes around. I watch it because I know these people, and I'm thinking, how do they become an expert in so many things so fast? So I think the best thing to do is talk. Well, I do that kind of work. Well, we can talk afterwards. Yeah, okay. Other questions? If not, oh wait, another question.
Yeah, one other question. Now, as far as tax liability, state tax liability, what I was trying to figure out, is it better to have a trust compared to a will, and at a certain point in time with assets, or when it's smarter to have one over the other for state tax purposes?
Okay, the question is about estate tax purposes and whether it's better to have a will or a trust. And the good news is, this is a good year to die as far as estate tax purposes are concerned. Because there's no estate tax right now. It used to be that there was an estate tax, and it's gone up every year. Last year, you could pass away $3.5 million without having any tax. And the husband and wife together could pass $7 million. So for most of us, we didn't have to worry about that issue. And then, in December or January 1st, it went away altogether. But we know that Congress is going to come back and reinstate it. They just haven't figured out what level. They're fighting about that. So we're anticipating they're going to come back. They're going to reinstate it. My bet is they're going to reinstate it about $3 million again. Because that's, for most of us, then we don't have to worry about it. But the very wealthy do have to worry. Bill Gates has to worry. And I think that's why he's giving away so much money. He's worried about that. But either way, if it's a trust or a will, either way, you can set it up the same way so that you can avoid estate taxes and get away with passing quite a bit. But if you're at that level where you have an estate tax issue, you really want to use a trust because the cost of probating that would be tremendous. I mean, I don't know, $100,000 in lawyer's fees or something like that, which I would love to see that as a fee, but it's not necessary. You know, you really wouldn't need to do that. And so it'd be much easier to have a trust rather than just have a will. All right, anything else? You've been a great audience, great questions, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Yeah, was that informative or what?
Yeah.
You know, what happens when you ask, he has an answer. So, yes, also, if you would like to speak with Chris Corelli at the end, please walk up to him, introduce yourself, get his, get his card, and so that way you can get more specific questions. A lot of times we're sitting in this type of environment, and we're a little nervous about asking questions or asking things personal that you don't want to share in front of the audience like this. So feel free to do that, as well with the other speakers, Kathy and Jocelyn, in regards to insurance and so forth. On behalf of Christ Redeeming Center, Redeeming Life Community Center, and BGG, we want to truly thank you for attending our event today. It's been a wonderful turnout. Everybody was wonderful. The decorations and everything just came out, so lovely today. And I just want to say thank you for all those who actually attended. Thank you to all of our hardworking people that helped put this on today. And before I leave, I would like to introduce you to our pastor, our overseer,